Lee Anthony, Leeanthony.
You may proceed, Mr. George.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Anthony, on July 15th or July 16th of 2008, were you on your family's home computer?
Yes, I was.
What were you doing on the computer?
Doing some internet searching, trying to figure out where Sawgrass Apartments and some other keywords were.
During that time, did you ever delete any of the internet history or the records that were on that computer?
No.
Sir, I want to direct your attention to August of 2008. Was there a time that your sister Caylee returned back to the house on Hope Springs Drive?
Yes.
During that time, did you have the opportunity to have private conversations with her?
Yes, I did.
During one of these conversations, did your sister tell you a different version of how Caylee was taken from her?
Yes, she did.
Can you please tell the jury what she told you during this conversation?
She told me that she met Zanny, who was her nanny, as well as Zanny's sister and her children at J. Blanchard Park, which is here in Orlando. And during that meeting, Zanny held Caylee down and told her that she was taking Caylee from her. And she did that with the help of her sister.
Did your sister describe to you how she was held down?
Yeah, from what I recall, she was held like on her wrists. Like she was held down. They were both supposedly sitting on like a park bench or something like that, and then she was held down.
Did your sister tell you why Caylee was taken from her?
I believe she did. I don't recall exactly what she told me.
Okay. Do you recall giving a deposition back on July 30th of 2009?
Yes.
Do you remember being asked the circumstances surrounding the taking and being asked that particular question?
Yes.
Do you remember what your response was?
Not exactly, no.
Okay. Can we go to page? For court and counsel, I'm referring to the deposition of July 30th, 2009, page 279, lines 1 through 25.
279. Lines what?
I'm sorry, lines 1 through 25, Judge.
Okay. You have it, Mr. Baez?
Your Honor, I'm bringing it up on the screen now for the witness and for the.
Should appear momentarily.
Specifically, I'm going to be referring to lines 17 through 25, and on page 280, which I'll put up in a minute, lines 1 through 4. Mr. Anthony, if you would take a look at lines 17 through 25. And just let me know when you're done.
I'm finished with that part.
Okay. And can we bring up from the page? And again, sir, I'll ask you to read lines 1 through 3. Okay. All right. Mr. Anthony, what was, does that refresh your memory?
Yes.
Okay. What did your sister tell you the reason for Caylee being taken was?
In Zanny's opinion, Casey was not being a good mother to Caylee, or wouldn't be a good mother for Caylee. And she was taking Caylee from her to teach her a lesson, and also told her not to go to the police or anything like that.
Did she also give you a description, a detailed description of what Zenaida Gonzalez looked like?
Yes, she did. She was kind of normal height, about 5'8", 5'10"-ish. Good complexion, long hair, of Spanish. It's about what I recall.
Okay. Just to be clear, do you recall being asked that question and giving an answer during that same deposition?
Yes.
Would looking at that answer, the answer that you gave back in July of 2009, refresh your memory?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Can we bring up, for court and counsel, and I'll be bringing up, I'm referring to page 280, lines 15 to 21. Okay, take a look at that, Mr. Anthony.
Okay.
Okay. I believe you touched on some of those things, but you recall saying giving some other description or your sister giving you some other descriptions of what this Zenaida person.
I believe the witnesses said that this is refreshed his recollection or not.
Excuse me. After reading that, Mr. Anthony, has your memory been refreshed as to all of the details that your sister gave you in terms of a description of Zenaida?
All the details that I said there, yes.
Okay. What did she tell you?
What I'd missed there was she was approximately 100 pounds, and that she would keep it darker complexion, like tanning or something like that.
Now, did your sister also tell you what she was doing or what she saw as Caylee was being taken from her?
I don't recall exactly what I said now.
Do you recall giving another deposition on February 27th of 2009?
Yes.
Do you recall that question being asked of you, your sister's reaction to Caylee being taken away, and what your response was?
I don't remember what my response was now.
If I showed you that, would that refresh your memory?
Yes, it would.
Okay. For court and counsel, and I'll be putting it up on the screen, I'm referring to the deposition taken on February 27th of 2009. I'm specifically referring to page 101, lines 1 through, I'm sorry, page 104, lines 15 through 19. Okay. Have you had a chance to read that, Mr. Anthony?
Yes, I did.
All right. Did that refresh your memory as to what your sister told you about her reaction to her daughter being taken from her?
Her reaction, maybe you'd asked what she had saw.
Okay. What was that?
What she saw?
Her reaction.
Her reaction for that was that she couldn't believe it was happening, and it felt kind of like surreal to her.
Did she indicate that she did anything to stop Zenaida from taking her daughter?
She did not.
Did she tell you why she didn't do anything?
That she was scared and she didn't know what to do.
After Caylee was taken from her, did your sister indicate to you that this Zenaida person was controlling her movements or telling her what to do?
She did tell me that, yes.
Any more specific than that? In what way?
Specifically through MySpace at the time, that she had Casey's password and would send her, like, you can kind of send yourself a message or post something so only you could see it on your account. She would do things like that to kind of instruct her on what to do, where to go, things like that.
And did she indicate that she would go to these places that Zenaida told her to go?
She did.
Did she tell you why she did that?
To hope to see Caylee, to hope to fulfill whatever obligations were being set upon her.
You had mentioned during your last response about MySpace and also Facebook.
I don't remember Facebook specifically. I know MySpace was just bigger at the time.
Do you know what Timer 55 is?
It was a password that Casey had specifically for MySpace.
Did you ask her what Timer 55 meant?
I did.
Do you recall what her explanation of what Timer 55 meant?
Her first explanation was she did not create the password, but her feeling expressed to me on what it was. Her explanation was that from the date Caylee was taken from her until Caylee's birthday on August 9th, that there were 55 calendar days within that period of time. And it was her understanding that, or maybe her hope or belief, that she was going to get her back on that day. But that's all she really had to share with me.
All right, so day 1 would be June 16th, and
Correct.
day 55 would be August 9th.
Correct.
You indicated in your answer that she told you that she did not create this password.
That is what she told me, yes.
Did she tell you who did create this password?
She told me that Zenaida did.
Did she tell you how Zenaida was able to change her old password to her new one?
I would imagine she would have had her old one.
But you don't know how.
I don't know. I don't know the specifics.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry, Judge. I have no further questions of the witness.
Cross-examination?
Morning, Mr. Anthony.
Good morning.
So if I understand your testimony correctly, your sister told you another story about the imaginary Zanny the nanny?
Yes, she told me another story about Zanny the nanny, yes.
And she told you that that Zanny the nanny would contact her through MySpace,
Yes, she did.
and that she would tell her what to do, how to control her, so she didn't call the police.
Correct.
And maybe like go places,
Correct.
so maybe she could see Caylee.
Sure, yes.
And was this like going to phone booths and things like that, or different locations to be able to try and find Zanny, the nanny? Or was there any more detail other than that?
I don't believe we got into detail on exactly where she would go, but I would imagine it was like stores and, places like that.
And she would go to these stores and do what?
Outside the scope and calls for speculation.
If Mr. Anthony knows based upon what his sister said, objection overruled.
Look for Caylee, walk around.
And none of these MySpace, imaginary MySpace posts to find this imaginary Zanny ever panned out for her, did it?
It goes beyond the witness's knowledge and it calls for speculation.
Overruled unless that was told to you by Miss Anthony. You're not to guess about what you think, but only what she told you about that limited subject.
Casey was never successful in finding Caylee in any of those experiences.
And Zanny, the nanny, never materialized.
To this day, no.
Thank you, sir.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, witness may be excused. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I will read you the following stipulation between the state and the defense. On December 11th, 2008, the Orange County Utility Dispatcher made a recorded call to 911 that was received by the Orange County Sheriff's Office at 9:31.02 hours. The recording is a true and accurate representation of the call. The parties have agreed to this fact, and it should be considered as true in your deliberations. You may proceed. You may publish.
Yes, this is Orange County Utilities Emergency Dispatch. We found a human skull.
Oh my gosh.
I know. We got is it a meter reader? Yes. I'm going to let you speak right now with the representative from our field services. This is Benny with Orange County Utilities.
Hey, Benny.
Hi. I'm going to let you speak with Rusty Spare, and everything is recorded. Here he is.
How are you doing?
Hey, Rusty.
One of my meter readers supposedly has found a skull of a, that he believes is human.
What's the location, please?
It's right off of Suburban and Chickasaw in the Caylee Anthony area, right by the...
Oh. Do you have a specific address for me or not?
No, it's right by the school. If you take it...
You are...
Yeah, he's...
Suburban and Goldenwood?
Well, Suburban and Chickasaw.
Chickasaw, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and the school is right there. I can't think of the name of the school. Just go right straight down. It dead ends right into the woods. It'll be on the east side of Chickasaw, Suburban.
East side of Chickasaw. And what is your party's name that we're going to meet with?
His name's Roy, R-O-Y, Kronk, K-R-O-N-K.
He's not touching this, I hope.
No,
K-R-O-N-K. And he's a...
He's a meter reader.
Meter reader?
Yeah, and I'll just tell him to stay at that location and just stay away from everything.
Okay. And if you can, try to stress to him to please not draw attention to the area.
Yeah, okay.
And that would be great, just in case it is something. It may be nothing, but just in case.
Yes.
And you're from what department?
Utilities Customer Service.
Utilities.
And if you need any information, my phone number is 407-254-9751.
9751?
Yes.
Okay, Rusty, I'm going to go ahead and send a call up for a deputy to meet with him.
Okay.
And we'll see you there very shortly. What type of vehicle is he going to be in?
Probably a Colorado, small Colorado, white. It'll have Orange County. It'll have Orange County insignia on it.
Okay, white Colorado
Chevy
truck.
Colorado. Yes.
And with Orange County markings.
Yes.
Orange County markings. Okay, we'll see you there very shortly, okay?
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
You may continue.
Your Honor, the next witness is Edward Turso.
Edward Turso. Last name is Turso.
You may proceed.
Thank you. How are you employed, sir?
With the Orange County Sheriff's Office.
In what capacity?
Deputy.
Are you assigned to a patrol division?
Yes, Sector 2.
Were you assigned to the patrol division in Sector 2 back on December 11th, 2008?
I was.
On that date, did you respond to a call that was received by the Orange County Sheriff on Suburban Drive?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall, or do the records of the Orange County Sheriff reflect the time of your arrival at that location?
I don't recall the time, but off the top of my head, it was very early in the morning.
Your Honor, may I approach?
You may.
Thank you.
Tell me if you recognize the document that I've just shown you.
Yes, it's my supplement, my report.
That is something authored by you
Yes.
at or near the time of the event that we're discussing?
Yes.
Does
Says,
that refresh your recollection as to the time that you responded to this call on Suburban Drive on December 11th of 2008?
yes, 9:32.
9:32 a.m.?
Yes.
Describe this location, if you would.
It was an intersection. To the right was very wooded area.
Did you meet there with an individual that was identified to you as Roy Kronk?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did Mr. Kronk take you anywhere?
Yes, he took me into the woods.
Okay. How did that happen? Tell the members of the jury what happened
What I
once
did
you
was-
arrived.
I identified myself with Mr. Crump. I asked him, how could I help him? He had previously called 911. He told me he had to go relieve himself in the woods and found what he believed was a skull.
Did you go into the woods with him then?
Yes, I asked him, show me.
Okay. Did he go in first?
He led me in, yes.
Did you follow?
Yes, I was right behind him, following him all the way to we actually passed the bag and skull.
Okay. Were you able to backtrack and locate the item that he had called about?
Yes, once we passed it, I would say 5-10 feet, stopped. He looked around, wondered what had happened. He looks over my shoulder, and there is the site that he was referring to.
Okay. What did you do at that point?
I walked over to it. I stood over the skull, looked at it, and we left the area right away.
Okay. Did you touch it in any fashion?
Not at all.
Did Mr. Kronk touch it in your presence?
Not at all.
What action did you take once you left the woods?
Once we left the woods, I had him go back to his car. I called my sergeant. I started Mr. Crump on a statement of written what had happened, and we roped off the area with crime scene tape.
Okay. Did you stay there until the arrival of other deputies and supervisors who then took over control of that scene?
Yes, ma'am.
I have no other questions of the witness. Thank you, Your Honor.
Cross-examination?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Did Mr. Kronk advise you that he had called 3 times in August?
No, he
about
did
the
not.
skull? It's not.
Sustain.
Were you made aware of any prior calls by this individual in August of 2008?
Sustain.
Did you have any conversations with Mr. Kronk about where you advised him that he should not say anything about calling 3 times in August of 2008?
Sustain. Move to another line of questioning, cause the hearsay answers.
If I can have just a moment, Judge.
Yes, you may.
Sir, how far did you go into the woods?
Ballpark, 20 feet or so.
And that's when you passed where the skull was, correct?
No, I'd say it was about 20 feet. I mean, I'm just going off the top of my head. I didn't measure it out or anything like that.
Okay. 20 feet from the street?
More or less.
Okay. And there's also a weed line, is there not?
What do you mean a weed line?
I knew that was going to be a tough question to answer. What I mean is there's grass that is mowed before you get into the area that's wooded, correct?
I don't think there was. All I remember is a wooded area.
Okay.
I don't remember seeing a mowed section previously.
You just don't recall, or you're certain that there was?
I don't remember if there was a cleared path prior to the woods.
Okay. And when you came back, how far did you pass into the woods before you came back?
when we passed the site,
Yes.
I'd say we passed it by probably about 5 feet or so. When he turned around, he was looking a little bit confused, like where to go. And then he turned and looked at me and pretty much over my shoulder said, "Oh, there it is."
And next to the skull, there was a fallen tree, correct?
There was a lot of vegetation. I can't tell you exactly if there was a fallen tree right next to the skull.
And there was also a white bag.
A white bag?
Do you recall seeing a white canvas bag?
No.
Do you recall seeing a bright red bag next to it?
I focused on the skull and the garbage bag that was next to it.
Okay. If I can have just one moment.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Deputy Turso, you directed Mr. Kronk to his car,
Correct.
and then you directed him to write a statement.
Yes.
Did you give him any other directions other than those two things?
I don't believe so. I'm not sure what you're asking me. Did I ask him? I told him, here's a statement form. Tell me, write down what you told me, write it down.
But did you give him any other instructions as a police officer as what to do or what not to do?
Not that's coming to mind right now.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. May the deputy be excused for today, but not excused from his subpoena.
Is there a subject to recall?
Okay. All right, deputy.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, who's the state's next witness?
Jennifer Welch.
Okay, members of the jury, we're going to take a 10-minute recess to 10:30 at this time. I'm going to ask you not to discuss this case among yourselves. We'll be in recess to 10:30.